Hey everybody, it's Neon. Today's video is going to be a little bit less educational, a little bit more entertaining. I was looking for some content to do for today, and I drafted a particularly interesting deck. I'm not going to spoil everything. I'm sure you can guess some based on what's just on the screen right now, but yeah, I had a really fun game with this fun deck, and we're going to watch that together, learn a little bit, but have a little bit more fun than that. So let's get right into it. So right away, you'll notice that my hero composition is a little bit strange. There, I'm playing 4 black heroes and 1 green hero. The reason for that is because I just actually I recorded the draft as well. I'm not including it in here because I don't think that's quite as interesting to just like watch somebody do it. But like it was a really weird draft in that there was the only clear color that I was supposed to be picking was black. And outside of that, everything seemed to not have great cards. Like I think there was maybe a red deck in there to be built, but like there was like a little bit of good green stuff, but it really dropped off dramatically. And then the quality of the black heroes that I got, holy moly! Double Phantom Assassin, 1 Sorlacan, 1 Sniper. Like that's messed up. So that put me in a weird position, though, because I had to build a very strange deck as a result of this. Unfortunately, I just didn't have enough playables to go like mono black. That would have been really sweet. And I think that this deck was close to that. Had I known maybe that it was that's where I was going, I don't even think I could have built it if I had like known at the beginning that I was going to aim for mono black. But yeah. So, stuff that's happened so far, we traded Phantom Assassins in the first lane. That's kind of nice. Get some chip damage in with my Aglody Catapult there. They have a Mists of Avernus, which is concerning. And I am going to have to find a way to survive that, because obviously that's a lot of value for it. And it's good to have it on the lane with the Venomancer. Of course, you do want to get him buffed up a little bit. Like he is, of course, going to die here, but you do set it up to kill the Sorlacan with like just even a melee creep that spawns in front of her next turn. This Tower Barrage is pretty painful, I'm not gonna lie, but I think that it's still, you know, workable. So right now, I immediately recognize that I need to be buying some health items for Sorla in order for her to not die immediately. Now, this is a really hard decision for me right now, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be buying that. So, but then the question is whether or not I buy this poaching knife, and I'm not really sure whether I should or not, because it feels like if there's a time when I need to be getting it in a deck like this, like I probably is now. Like it's not going to be later in the game that it'll be useful, but like maybe this is the correct time to pick up that card, because it is kind of clunky and overpriced, but all I need is 1 hero kill, and it feels pretty easy to set that up if my opponent sort of missteps at all. For the Enchantress now, this is a hard decision for me of where she is supposed to go, because I have to kind of decide really quickly what is the lane that is going to be the like where the most of the action is happening. But in this case, I decide to put her into the right lane, because if the Debbie goes into the left lane, which is what I actually had expected, in that case, there's a pretty good chance that I can start healing Sorla up and putting some pressure in on that lane. So you see Disciple of Nevermore in hand, which is good. My Catapult there, getting in the 2 damage. Man, this card is so bad, by the way. Holy moly, that card is bad. Just slow and clunky, and doesn't even do damage the turn that it comes into play. Man, it's really awful. No other words to say for it. I mean, I could go on. You describe all the ways in which it's horrible, but I don't think that's necessary right now. And also, unfortunately, just if you might have noticed in my glancing over at the right lane, that the positioning for Sola was actually kind of unfortunate, that she wasn't beside the Enchantress, or rather the Enchantress's placement is unfortunate because she's the new one there. Okay, nothing going on in the mid lane. Another proc on our Mist of Avernus here. Now, it might seem strange to play that right there. The purpose is to play around specifically No Accident, because this is a card that they're going to have in their deck. They have copies of Debbie, obviously, so I just wanted to play around that. I decided to also play out the Poaching Knife. because this can set up a trade with the hip fire. And also just the ordering here, that you'll notice that I'm putting the hip fire last, which is the correct way to sequence things, because it means that I'll have initiative going into future lanes. I think that, yeah, my opponent tanks for a while. I don't think that they do anything from here. They just kind of think for a while and then pass. So I'm not sure what they have in their hand at this point. It's really hard to read of what it would be. Because, like, if you just have 4 damage effects, which is what you would, or 3 damage effects, like, which seems like the most likely things, that you'd have, like, obviously they don't do anything. Okay, right, they have this. They decide of whether or not to play out the assassin. So that's one that will be interesting how she turns out in the course of the next couple of turns. But hip firing Debbie, passing the turn, they trade, get a little bit of extra gold. Actually, I guess not as how it works, right? Like my gold right now is just 7. So I guess that it works the same way that Bristleback's works, where he has to stay alive in order for you to get the bonus. That sucks. That card is terrible. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to remove that from my deck for sure. It's so bad. So at this point, my opponent does have 3 different colors of heroes that they can deploy. The one that I'm the most spooked about is actually the blue one. I don't know what's my opponent's deck at this point. Don't look at the deck tracker, but like for blue cards, clearly there's a lot in there that has a lot that can dismantle what I'm doing in my deck, especially if I go all in with something like Disciple of Nevermore. They decide to place everything in the mid and the right lanes, though, just giving up the left lane entirely, which I thought was a little bit surprising for them to abandon it so aggressively. But yeah. Okay, so with the second Disciple of Nevermore in hand, things are kind of getting real. So let's just do a little bit of math right here. So they have 4 attack on them each, which means that they have a total of 16 damage in my hand right now. And then there's also plus 4 attack on everything, meaning that it's a total of 32 damage in my hand. And that's not counting the bonuses that it gives to other stuff. So my hand is going places, and I think that most of those places are to the face. But the question is, where do I just unload all of this? Like, where I clearly the left lane is pretty open. I got that 4 damage in with my catapult attacking for a whole 0 damage. But this lane too has some potential, right? Like if I go the grunt here, and then maybe I could deploy one of the disciples, but maybe that's just a little bit too cautious. Maybe I should be focusing on the left lane. It's hard to say. I basically play this out to just kind of like see what my opponent does. They decided to Ramesk Blessing the right-hand lane to make it even spookier. I'm not sure if I should have been playing out that Disciple at this point. By the way, also, the Keenfolk Musket in hand, part of the reason that I bought that card was for the purpose of actually killing that assassin that's in the right lane that was now buffed with the Ramesk Blessing. So that plan went really well. I decided to play it cautious, though, not play things out. I think that the trades just would have been really, really bad there if I did play the Disciple of Nevermore out, and it shows my hand a little bit of what's going on, and I feel like this is a hand that does well with a bit of an element of surprise. So I deploy this Verdant Refuge here on the right-hand lane, because my objective now, my game plan that I've arrived at here is stall in the mid lane, stall in the right lane, just get a couple more turns out of the game, and then just pop off in the left. And hope that my opponent doesn't respect what can happen here. And this is one of the things, like when you're against a heavy black deck, when you're against a deck that has Sorla Khan, like, you constantly need to be thinking about, like, fucked up shit can happen. Like, your opponent can just unload damage on you. So, and you kind of see that the opponent doesn't really respect that in the course of this game. So Venom, I'm just happy that they're spending all their blue cards in this lane. They had the possibility to use the Darkseer to move that Venomancer over to the left lane if they really wanted to. but I don't think they choose to do very much of anything with it for the time being. Yeah, it does it for the assassin. By the way, the assassin at this point is a 4/5, so she has graduated from the apprentice to the sister of the veil as a result of this Missive Avernus and the Romesque blessing. But yeah, I get to survive a little bit longer in that lane. Opponent can't quite battle it down just yet. So I just pick up a few simple supplies and decide where to put my Sorla Khan. Going to the left lane, feeling like I have a chance to do some serious damage there, but their opponent's Debbie goes mid, which was surprising to me. I did not see this coming. But this gives me a bit of a feeling of like, hey, maybe I can get some work done over here. So the challenge, though, in a deck like this is to pace your damage and pace your cards in such a way not to alarm your opponent. You know, they might have some tools to fight against this. They might have something like a down portal scroll to reposition things. You don't want to scare them. You don't want to spook them before you go in for the kill. So here I'm just trying to set up a little bit of extra damage, take down the tower, make it look like I'm playing a more or less normal game. The musket will end up actually being quite interesting and useful in the game as well. I decide to opt also for the assault ladder specifically for the purposes of like the Disciple Nevermore does give a bit more information of like maybe I'm going all in, maybe something crazy is going to be happening. Also, it protects that creep that bounced up against that other creep right there, because I can next turn deploy Keenfolk Rifle, ping the 2/2, and then set up a big kill or a big move in that lane. Now this lane, I still at this point wasn't totally sure whether or not I should be thinking about just abandoning this lane entirely, or how much is there a possibility to set something up here, because like when you just have so much firepower, you just have to figure out what's the best way to deploy it, and it even just like costs a little bit more to it than I can manage right now too. I also am thinking about this coup de grace as well, obviously, because that does a lot of work. But the tools in my hand for doing things like the all-in the left-hand lane just seem so valuable. Like, I would say that the only card in my hand that I'd be satisfied to discard is the Avernus's Blessing, which, by the way, I'm obviously not excited about playing, but this is what happens when your deck is a little bit messy. Okay, so right-hand lane at this point. My main concern here actually is to have the Venomancer. So I want my tower to stay up for at least another turn, and I want the Venomancer to stay alive. The reason why is that if I don't have the capacity to do a one-turn kill on that left-hand lane, I do not want the Venomancer going into that left-hand lane. If I kill it right now, then it would have the chance to go there at the start of the second turn that would be necessary in order to take down that tower, which could lead to some disaster depending on the tools that they have available. So this is part of the reason that, for instance, I'm not playing the Avernus's Blessing on the Enchantress. But yeah, I'm just still focusing on saying, okay, play things slow. Don't spook the opponent. Don't be patient. Don't spook anybody. Town Portal Scroll is a pretty obvious pickup here, since picking up, for instance, the sniper on the right-hand lane would be really powerful, assuming that something did go wrong in the left-hand lane. Now, of course, there is this Darkseer that could be showing up there right now, which is concerning, but even then, I feel like there's a lot of tools to get around it, but he doesn't. You see that he doesn't realize what's going on here, and this is the fatal flaw. This is the kind of mistake. Like, you can't underestimate a deck with Sorla Khan. Like, Sorla Khan herself just does so much goddamn damage. And then when you have tools like this in your deck, which, I mean, he obviously doesn't know what my deck composition is exactly, and what the hand composition is exactly. I think this is after when they don't have the deck trackers. But yeah, I got the musket out. I'm gonna shoot down that little tutu, and then just drop a metric fuck ton of damage out here. Disciple of Nevermore #1. And also, I'm just, like, not even doing math at this point. Like, I mean, I could do math. It's possible I could have figured this out. But, like, you know, why bother? Just play it out, see what happens. You know, and I also don't have, like, a plan B, right? Like, if this isn't good enough, then I'm just not winning this game. So, the trebuchets is the little chariot on top here. And that will be lethal at the beginning of the following turn. Don't have quite one turn ancient kill lethal here on turn 7, but really close. Really close. My opponent now then thinks for a moment. They end up casting a copy of Coup de Grace on the Phantom Assassin, and then they take a moment to kind of, I think, survey the board and realize what's going on in that left-hand lane and how it's so incredibly dead, and that they don't have the capacity to deal 17 damage with 1 power available and maybe 3 items, I guess. Like, yeah, they don't really have the tools. I mean, I guess if you had multiple Apotheosis Blades somehow, then you might have an opportunity, but it turns out that they don't have it. So they concede, and the game is ours. But that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a fun number to do. By the way, this deck, 4 copies of Disciple of Nevermore. Stop passing that card, people. It is not fair. It is not safe. And when you pass them, you let them get to me, and then I do these sorts of disgusting things, these unforgivable, brutal things to people. So this was a really fun game, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it too. I'll talk to you all again later. Of course, remember to submit videos if you see anything that's really sweet and that you wanted me to analyze. It can be hopefully more serious for the most part, but if you saw something that was silly like this, I would love to take a look at it and give you my thoughts on why it was so silly, if that's what you'd like. And then, in addition to that, of course, check out Ink Gaming. They are a wonderful sponsor for all the things that we do in the A-Space world. Thank you so much for joining with me today, everybody. Take care.